Hello, this is Bruce Timm.
Dwayne McDuffie.
James Tucker.
Stan Berkowitz.
And we're talking about Better World, Part 2 specifically, but we can talk about both parts. This episode, it's interesting. It had an interesting genesis. We originally planned it to be pretty much a straight-up crime syndicate story. For those of you who aren't hardcore comic book geeks, like all of us at this table, the crime syndicate was a group of supervillains from the comics who were kind of alternate universe versions of the Justice League, even though they weren't specifically Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. They were roughly analogous to these guys. And as we were plotting the story out, we realized the story got a little bit weirder, and it became a little bit more about the actual Justice League guys. We realized that it would be better to not make these guys the actual crime syndicate, that they should actually be basically our guys in an alternate timeline, and they went a different way. Because the thing about the crime syndicate is they're straight up evil. They're not good at all. They're genuinely evil people. And it's much more interesting and much more dramatic to kind of shine just a darker shade on our actual characters. So we came up with this storyline. And I remember at one point we had all kinds of different weird ways of taking this story. At one point we were talking about the possibility of having the Justice Lords having infiltrated our universe and have slowly, replaced our guys one by one, and you only found that out like halfway through the story. And we didn't go that way for a number of reasons. But
yeah, we actually thought we were gonna stick them in the main title as a,
Yeah, we were gonna do a Justice Lords main title.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But I guess it is technically anyway. So,
Yeah.
The idea was to confuse the audience at first and let them see Justice Lords instead of Justice League.
Right. Well, especially when we came up with that opener, in part one where, Superman fries President Luthor in the Oval Office, that totally works better if you don't realize that that's not our Superman, that's, I mean, I don't think anybody would actually think for a minute that, wait a minute, Superman really, killed President Luthor in the Oval Office, but...
Oh, the kiddies did.
Oh, yeah, probably. They probably did.
Well, we actually bet a season later on that they would believe he might do that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if it weren't for this, we wouldn't have been able to do that.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of mileage out of this episode, much more than we had intended. I mean, season 2 of Justice League Unlimited is practically a season-long sequel to this episode.
Any motion, and I'll know about it.
You've thought of everything.
No. Just everything you'll ever think of. What are you looking at? Huh?
So choosing the way to go that we did, unfortunately, that meant that we had to come up with alternate universe versions of their costumes. I mean, we could have just made them look like the regular Justice League, but it would have been really confusing, we thought, for the audience if they didn't have slightly different looks. If we had made them the crime syndicate, I could have just, stolen the Frank Quitely designs from the graphic novel.
Well, even when we were starting with Justice League, you toyed with the idea of coming up with a uniform look to their Justice League's costumes.
Fortunately, I remembered that, and I still had those drawings.
Right, and then you brought them out, and they worked great for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we first started doing Justice League, I toyed just for a brief moment with the idea of giving them all a uniform kind of...
Blasphemy.
I know. Well, DC Comics wouldn't have let us do it anyways. And in fact, actually, I think for season 3, we brought the possibility up again of actually redesigning the characters, not to make them necessarily all uniform, but to kind of give all their costumes a little bit of a tweak.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to DC Comics president Paul Levitz, and I barely even finished the sentence before he said, not the big 3.
Nope.
It's like, you can do it to Green Lantern, you can do it to Flash, but not the big 3.
That's right. We were trying to give Wonder Woman a new hairstyle.
Right.
Here you've redesigned the Watchtower as well, armoring it for attack, which of course would come in handy many episodes later.
Absolutely. Well, again, this sets up themes that totally resonated a season or 2 later. But
the theme always resonates, even with children. When you're a child, you ask a very simple question: Superman's so good and so strong, why doesn't he just take over?
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it goes through lots of superhero material.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting, just on the Superman set that we just did a little while ago that just came out on DVD. Another episode written by Stan.
Brave New Metropolis.
Brave New Metropolis dealt with this very same issue, and it's a good question, and it's good to test your heroes, It's like, why don't they take over?
Well, here's
there's
why.
good reasons.
Here's why.
Almost every episode explains why they shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Flash outsmarting Batman here.
Right
Oh
now.
yeah, it's a good bit. It's a good bit, and it's actually almost believable.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, how could Flash actually outsmart Batman? But because Flash isn't the sharpest tool in the box, but somehow managed to do it.
Now this
So-
means something. This number combination. 91939. I forget what it was.
Is that the date of
Detective
the first?
Comics.
It's the month and year of the first issue of Detective
Yeah.
Comics that had Batman in it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think that's what it was.
We thought we were really clever with that one. I hope so.
I don't know. Some fan online figured it out. They said,
Yeah.
first appearance of Batman,
Right.
easy. But
Which they hate because they knew it. Okay.
now another thing about this story too is that in a way it's kind of a reaction to the Authority comic. Again, for those of you non-geeks in the audience,
All two of you.
yeah. Now stop. In between season 1 and season 2, James and I both discovered this comic called The Authority, written by Warren Ellis and drawn by Brian Hitch. And we were really impressed by it. What's interesting about The Authority is that it's not really a spoof of the Justice League, but it's kind of a takeoff on the idea of a group of superheroes, kind of like the Justice League, only it has a little bit of that Alan Moore Watchmen realistic extrapolation to it. It's like, if superheroes really existed, how would they fight? And if they had a big battle over a major metropolitan city, what would it be like? And, would they actually have this code of not killing and all these issues? And it's a very entertaining book, but it's actually almost like R-rated Justice League. So there's a lot of things in it that we couldn't actually adapt for the show in terms of our approach. But just in broad strokes, we were very influenced by the way they staged giant-sized action set pieces, and especially Warren Ellis's his almost fearlessness in taking the stories into really kind of unmentionable places. We kind of were influenced in that respect in terms of, not holding back when we thought a story should go a certain way. But now the thing about The Authority is the basic premise of the book is that, if the Justice League really existed, they would be so powerful and they're so good that, they would just take over. It's like literally the Authority, they don't answer to anybody. They don't answer to the president. They don't answer to anybody. They just do what they want to do when they want to do it. And it's an entertaining book, and I don't really believe that Warren Ellis actually believes that superheroes should actually do that. He somehow manages to pull the book off because the characters are just likable enough. So we actually talked about that a little bit. It's like, the Justice League, theoretically, they're all nice enough people and they're all moral enough that if they took over the world, it wouldn't be that bad. You really couldn't be in better hands, except that absolute power, of course, corrupts absolutely. And even these guys, if you handed them absolute power, it would kind of distort them a bit.
Right. But Wonder Woman was supposed to say it.
Weasel. You must be stopped. A robot. I built mine to take over for me when I had to be away.
Stan's laughing at one of his own jokes.
Like
Yeah, that's all of Superman's dialogue, the robot Superman's dialogue in this scene is kind of a self-spoof of our corny dialogue from season 1. So almost everything the robot Superman says is a direct quote of something he had said in season 1.
But from his heart.
Yeah.
In a good way.
In a good way. Now, this is an interesting scene, Batman versus Batman in the Batcave. This is one of my favorite sequences.
Did Kevin do the script in order, or did he do one Batman and then the other Batman? I don't remember.
I think he alternated. The voices are pretty much the same.
It's
not-
exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, the characters aren't like, the evil Batman isn't really all that evil. So it really is the same guy.
I do my best work in the dark.
Now watch this. This is interesting. This is an idea I had, that whenever one of these guys is speaking, their back is to the camera or they're in the shadows. So you never quite know which one is talking. You have to really pay attention to the dialogue to tell, okay, is that Justice Lord Batman talking or is that our regular Batman talking? That's the only time you actually see somebody's mouth move while
But the
they're talking.
fact is Batman talking to himself.
Yes,
That was the idea. The idea was that it was psychological.
Right.
It was Batman arguing with himself.
Yeah.
So that's specifically why we did it that way.
Which if
And-
you had him arguing with himself, like sometimes you guys did in the Batman the Animated Series, it would have been corny. But this was a interesting way to do it. You know?
Absolutely.
I actually like the heat of the argument. If you guys remember when we were plotting the thing out, we were arguing both sides of this with each other.
Oh, this whole season was one long argument.
Well, but specifically, wasn't that where we were literally playing good Batman and bad Batman, and somebody came up with Justice Lord Batman's argument,
right?
And I said, well, you know what, Batman, he has no answer to that. Justice Lord's Batman wins.
That. The line about it where a kid never has to lose a parent or something.
Yeah, we were kind of play acting it.
And it just kind of came out in the conversation we were having back and forth.
And then we all stopped and we were like,
That's it. We realized, hey, you know what? That's our act break.
Yeah.
It's like, there's Batman. Well, that was the thing. We wanted to have Batman seemingly go over to Justice Lord's Batman's side,
right?
To trick him. And we figured that was the good way to, that's a very believable argument. It's credible that Batman would go over to his side by making that argument. So that worked out really well.
But good Batman had an answer to that and held it back.
This was also one of the first shows where we kind of changed our whole process where, the writers, Bruce and I, the story editors sat in a room and just hashed it all out. And all the things in the show kind of came about from our conversations. Because there was an original outline, and I think we just it's totally different from this. So, and I remember all the really cool bits in this came about from us having these round robin conversations,
the brainstorming session,
brainstorming things. It really shows.
I mean, you'll see in Justice League Unlimited that only a couple of us have story credits. What that actually meant was that the producers and the writers all sat down together.
Right.
Sure. Generally, the person who got the story credit is the person who went off and just typed it up.
Yeah.
Well, there's more to it than that.
More than that. But I'm just the general themes that came out.
Well, you have to solve the actual problems.
Yeah.
But the big beats, we kind of know.
Right.
I mean, if there's a reason that Warner's has been successful for so long in this kind of material, it's because of so much work being done at the story stage.
Yeah.
And then allowing the writers to have a little bit of fun at the script stage with the dialogue. And it goes way back. I mean, it goes back to the late 80s.
I remember we had a difficult time trying to figure out what Gotham would look like because we didn't really have a daylight Gotham in our stock for Justice League. We had a daylight stock for Gotham from the Batman the Animated Series, or from the New Adventures of Batman, but it had yellow skies and it didn't look terribly happy. And we wanted Utopia Gotham to look bright and clean and sterile. And so this is like it doesn't look anything like Gotham. In fact, fortunately, Batman even says that. It's like, this is Gotham?
Oh, and the Batmobile doesn't fit in broad daylight at all.
No, it
looks
really
like the
doesn't.
Adam West show.
Yep. Well, fortunately, there's no cars in the street either, so
that's true.
It's going to stand out no matter what. But
well, I'm pretty sure I'd get out of the way if I saw that coming in this particular world.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mom and
That's
Dad.
a really good dialogue exchange between the two of these guys here. Kevin's very good. I give Kevin all the credit in the world sometimes. But that looks like the old Filmation Batmobile.
I was just thinking that.
It's funny.
It's even going into perspective. Like that.
Totally.
Was this
little
the first
hint here, yeah.
Well, it's not the first hint. We'd been kind of going at it for a while, but this is a really strong hint that there's something going on between them, and that's you're actually hearing the Green Lantern and Hot Girl love theme, which first made its appearance in Savage Time.
It's suggested in part one that the alternate world Hawkman and Green Lantern are having a relationship, and it's very clear, very explicit.
Hawk
true.
Girl.
Hawk Girl.
You said Hawkman, but
I
that's
did?
okay. I think so.
That's a whole other show.
That's a whole different kind of show.
You're right. Hawk Girl and Green Lantern. Alternates.
My biggest regret is not making this SWAT guy the same prison guard from part one.
I know you. I know.
It kills me.
You know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
Not everything has to mirror.
Sure. Yeah. That would have made it corny.
Not necessarily. It would work.
Okay.
But
Also,
I'm just
now I
saying,
feel bad
I don't think it's a demerit. Put it this
No,
way,
that's true.
That it's a
It doesn't
different guy.
ruin the show. But
It doesn't.
We'll go out the back.
Oh, this is a nice turn.
Oh, the I am him? Yeah. It's neat.
whole show has a lot of twists and turns where you think it's going one way and then it changes.
Well, that whole Arkham Asylum sequence that we just saw the end of,
Sure.
well, now we'll talk about it.
Right.
That was one of my favorite sequences in the entire show was, I don't remember even how that idea came up, that's where they would be holding Hawkgirl, is in Arkham Asylum. But I love having the twisted Arkham Asylum. And I do have to point out that all the villains there have the little lobotomy scar,
Right.
except for Scarface.
The
Well,
dummy.
Scarface, the dummy, has a lobotomy scar, but the
And
ventriloquist
we did
doesn't.
that on the board, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a weird.
I think we
gag.
actually changed it. I think it was boarded with the actual ventriloquist with the scars, and it was like, wait a minute, put it on the dummy.
We never showed an alternate Flash, and
Right.
I think it was because his personality, it just wouldn't have been appropriate.
No,
I don't think that
we
was it. I
made
think
up him as the excuse that Superman goes rogue.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he's the one that everybody would be sorry if he were dead.
Sure.
He was the
Right.
most popular
Instant
character.
identification.
But you're probably right. At some point, we probably were realizing that, having evil Flash,
He couldn't be a
yeah.
fascist.
Yeah,
I
probably
never,
not.
did we ever logic it out like that?
Yeah,
we
we
did
talked
do it.
about it for a long
We talk a lot in those meetings.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I can't
I was
every topic.
disappointed that there were no goatees.
Yeah, and
Well, that did-
agonizers.
Agonizers.
Well, the redesigns did prefigure the bald GL in
Oh, that's true.
Unlimited.
That's true. Well, I know there's all kinds of things that happen in this episode that become reality later on in Justice
Right.
League Unlimited. Yeah, GL shaves his head, and they have a new superpowered watchtower with a
Right.
gun pointed at the
Sure.
Earth.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of eerie, watching the show in the light of what happened later on in Justice League Unlimited. Coming up here, I love the look on Superman's face
Oh, this
here.
is
It's
great.
like he's just cold.
Right.
I don't know. I love this version of the Superman. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like he's it's scary.
Fascism always has an attraction.
That's
Well,
true.
Well,
dressed better.
unlike the Brave New Metropolis one, where we kind of had to redeem him at the end. We didn't
Yes.
have to redeem him at the end of this one.
Yeah, this is great.
So
man.
I mean,
it's just cold-blooded.
it's cold blooded, and
Although you still love Hawkgirl even if she's evil. But what are you gonna say?
I look at I always love Hawkgirl.
Yeah.
But
This
no,
is
she's
great.
cool. She is pretty scary in this one though. When she busts out and it's just like yikes, she's
I
scary.
love this whole sequence. This whole fight is. I just love it.
Man, it's very
It's
cool.
like I didn't even work on it.
No, this is one of our better action sequences.
That was a flop scene right
Yeah,
there.
the shot of GL shooting the beam. Well, we realized that the shot didn't work. Well, actually, I think we probably, I don't remember. We had
No,
some
we
we had
flipped
some
it.
coverage problem when we were
Yeah, it
editing
didn't
the show.
hook up. Well, I
Yeah.
think we changed the order of it, and
Yeah.
he wasn't shooting in the right direction.
Right. Yeah. So we grabbed that scene and flopped it.
I
and
love the
stuck it in there.
forearm Martians.
It's very cool. I love having Martians with forearms. Being the big Edgar Rice
Yeah.
Burroughs geek that I am. It is kind of confusing that the only reason I think we did that was so you could tell which one was which, but you still can't
This
tell.
was great.
No.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I know he just blasts right at him. He's going to stab him. It's like it's interesting because in part one, we kind of made the Justice Lords just a little bit darker shade, but here they're showing
evil.
their true natures.
They're trying to kill him.
they're acting like the authority. They do not hold back. It's like, nope.
Well, they're right. They have to win.
Yeah, that's true. Well, to their point of view, they're right. Oh, this is a good gag. This is
yeah.
like one of the better Flash gags.
He did that in editing.
Well, it was animated nicely, but we wanted to make him look even
Yeah.
faster, so we doubled the scene. We superimposed it over itself twice, slightly off register, so that he has even more multiple images. And the sound effect when he was
That
throwing
really
those,
helped sell it. Yeah.
the sound effect when he's throwing the rocks, that was actually a silenced machine gun.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of neat.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the heroic Luthor bit coming up is one of my
Yeah.
favorite bits too. It's like you got to pay close attention to Mike's score there because
This is my favorite bit.
oh the tiara using
well,
the
the
tiara.
board came
oh.
up short, so I added all this in, and
Actually, we're not even at the tiara bit yet, but
I like, we had set up a romance between Batman and Wonder Woman. Here, Wonder Woman's going to kill him.
just gonna kill him. Just
and
gonna
then here's my
squash him
Linda
into
Carter
pulp.
bit. Okay, big Linda Carter fan. Okay.
But it really hurts too. I don't know. There's something about the way it's staged and animated and the sound effect. It's like, man, getting hit right in the face with a tiara, that has got to hurt.
That was fun.
That's awesome.
It's a dream job.
So as I was saying, when Luthor shows up, when he starts blasting everybody with the gun, you got to listen to the music because Mike did this great thing. He gave Luthor like this grand heroic theme when he's blasting the Justice Lords, and it's like it's twisted.
It sounds like a Western, like he's
kind of
he's John Wayne or something.
Yeah, and it's like wow, that's almost subversive. But and again, James, I know James's favorite shot in the whole show is Superman being led away handcuffed
by Batman. That's awesome. Oh man, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But this is great. Superman standing next to Luthor.
Yep. Yep. The
Luthor
in his prison grays. I know, it's awesome. Very cool. I mean, you know, we got some criticism for the power disruptor. It's like, yeah, it's a Deus Ex Machina device, but so what, you know?
If the scenes are cool enough, you forgive it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is great. This is great cue. Here it is.
The score is awesome here. It's really cool.
That's it.
Nicely staged, too. Was this
Joaquin
DeSantis' section? Yeah. Very nice. Yep, the forearm guy. So he was the bad one. Good thing.
Right, yeah.
Otherwise, John Jones would have lost all his powers forever. Oh, and that bit with the American flag at the end, boy, that took a lot of retakes. That took like 4 or 5 retakes to get that right.
I literally had to pose it out for him. I mean, practically animated.
Yeah.
And it still came back.
Yeah, it's still a little bit wonky. Oh yeah, the political context of this story, which we don't want to get too much into, but yeah, it was freaking us out because we were doing the editing on this show, the post-production on this show, literally like during those weeks right before we invaded Iraq, and it was really strange. It's like the political situation in the real world was changing every couple days, and you know the whole idea of manifest destiny and all that was kind of really counterpointing what we were doing here in the cartoon, and it was kind of weird doing the show while that was all going on.
The thing that disturbed me most was that in part 1 there's a reference to postponing a national election.
Oh, right.
And prior to the 2004 election, there was some talk about postponing it if a terrorist act happened.
Right.
I was afraid that perhaps someone in the administration had seen the episode.
Had I look at the script?
Well,
because we all know they're fans of the show.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, what do they watch if not this?
Now look how tiny that flag is there.
Yeah, I know.
That's awful. We should have retaken that one, but
yeah, I wonder why we didn't.
I don't know. We should have though.
Well, this one was the one that took forever.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, just getting the camera moved to be in the right place and getting the in-betweens done right. And it's like it's nice.
Yeah, it works fine.
It's corny as heck, but you know what?
No, it's
what
right
the story's
kind of
about.
Sure.
It's exactly right. It's like.
Oh, the other thing was the sunrise in the background.
Yeah.
We had to modulate that the sunlight coming up.
Right. Yeah, it was tough.
This speech that Luthor gives is based on Jerry Levin's speech that he gave when he retired from being our leader as the head of Time Warner.
Right.
Because there's no poetry in what he was doing, he said. I don't know why I quoted him. It just sounded right.
I also point out that Luthor is wearing a gray suit. That's our unsubtle way of saying that Luthor is not a bad guy anymore because he used to wear like a black suit.
Oh, that's deep.
And
it's reformed.
That was a last minute idea when we were doing the color the color styling on the show. I said, put him in a gray suit. Okay. So weird. Yeah, you're right. It's deep. So anyhow,
there you go.
Awesome episode. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.